They let me fly back to America. They left the dog who saved me tied to a fence. The part I never put in my welcome home speech. When people picture coming home from overseas duty, they imagine flags, hugs, airport signs, and families crying in relief. That part did happen for me. But what they never imagine is the moment right before the door of the transport truck closes, when the person who saved you most in the world is standing on the wrong side of a fence. This is the story I didn't tell at the airport, the one I carry with me into grocery stores, quiet streets, and family dinners. It isn't about what happened over there. It's about who didn't make it back. The village nobody remembered. The village wasn't on most maps. We only passed through it because our usual route was blocked. It had half-standing buildings, tired doorways, and dust that felt older than history. That's where I met Fence. He wasn't running with a pack or begging for food. He just sat near a broken wire fence, watching the road like he was waiting for something to come back. When I walked past him the first time, he didn't move, just lifted one bent ear and studied me. I felt ridiculous talking to him, but I said hello anyway. He followed me for the rest of the patrol, staying just far enough behind that I couldn't tell when he started. That night I saw him curled against the fence again, guarding nothing, belonging to no one. Somehow, by morning, he belonged to me. A shadow with no name. We didn't name him right away. Nobody wanted to get attached. Animals weren't supposed to be around us. But Fence followed me everywhere, slow steps, careful distance, never asking for anything. I'd drop a piece of bread when no one was looking. He'd eat it like it was a feast, then sit back down beside me, not begging for more. The guys joked that I had adopted him. I denied it. Then I started saving food for him. Every evening he slept by the fence near our temporary post. No matter where we moved during the day, he always found his way back to that same spot. It was like he had drawn a line in the dirt and decided that was his place in the world. Somewhere in that quiet routine, I stopped thinking of him as a stray. He was my shadow now. The step I did take. 2 weeks later, Fence started acting different. Instead of trailing behind me, he moved in front, weaving, blocking my path, stopping every few steps. I thought he wanted food or attention. I bent down to shoo him aside when I heard something under my boot that didn't belong there. A tiny sound, the wrong sound. Everything after that happened too fast to explain properly. Voices, movement, dust in the air, someone pulling me back by my vest, Fence barking in a way I'd never heard before. Later someone said, "That dog just saved your life." I didn't answer. I couldn't look at Fence. He had stopped barking and was sitting quietly, like he hadn't done anything special at all. But I knew I wouldn't ever walk past that fence the same way again. From stray to guardian. After that day, Fence became part of the routine, not officially, just naturally. He waited outside our quarters at night. If someone came back late, he paced. If I sat, he sat. If I stood, he stood. I started talking to him when things felt heavy. He never answered, but he listened better than most people ever had. Someone found an old rope and turned it into a loose leash. Fence didn't need it, but it made us feel like he belonged. The rules didn't change. The reality did. Fence wasn't just a stray anymore. He was family, the kind that doesn't ask questions, doesn't keep score, and never leaves your side when everything else feels temporary. I let myself believe that loyalty like that had to count for something. The promise I never spoke. I never said the words out loud, but I started planning anyway. How I'd bring him home. How my parents would pretend to be annoyed, then secretly love him. How Fence would sleep on a real couch instead of dirt. I pictured him in my neighborhood, nose to the ground, confused by quiet streets and sprinklers. When the rotation date came down, my excitement was tangled with something else, fear. Because suddenly everything was about paperwork, clearance, and rules that didn't bend for loyalty. I still didn't panic. There had to be a way. There was always a way. Fence lay with his head on my boot while I looked at the flight schedule. He didn't know his future was being decided by words I couldn't even understand. The answers came fast once I started asking, and they all sounded the same. It's complicated. That's above my level. There's a process. The process felt like a maze built to make you tired before you reached the exit. Forms that went nowhere. Conversations that ended in shrugs. Time slipping through my fingers. Fence followed me into offices, waiting outside doors he wasn't allowed through, trusting I'd come back. I told myself not to worry him, but he could sense something changing. He stayed closer, walked tighter beside me, watched every movement like he was memorizing me. The night before we left, I sat with him by the fence where we met. I didn't tell him goodbye. I told him I'd be back. The morning everything ended. We loaded up before sunrise. The sky was pale, the kind of morning that doesn't feel real yet. Fence trotted beside the truck like it was just another day. I thought someone would stop me, say there had been a change, that the paperwork finally worked. No one did. The gate closed between us with a sound I can still hear. Fence stood on the other side, tail wagging, sure I'd come back like always. The truck rolled forward. I didn't. I watched him get smaller through the slats until I couldn't tell him apart from the dust anymore. No one said anything. No one had to. Home without him. Back in America, people hugged me like I'd been gone forever. My mom cried into my shoulder. My dad couldn't stop smiling. They asked about everything. I talked about food, about heat, about boredom. I didn't talk about Fence. At night, I listened for nails clicking on concrete that wasn't there. I checked adoption pages like a fool, hoping I'd see his bent ear staring back at me through a screen. Every brown dog looked like him for a second. Home didn't feel like home yet. It felt like a place I landed in, not a place I returned to. The questions. People call me a hero now. They shake my hand in grocery stores. They buy my coffee. They tell me I must be proud. I am proud. I'm also angry. Not at anyone in particular, just at how easy it was for loyalty to be ignored when it didn't come with paperwork. Sometimes I wonder if Fence still waits by that fence, or if he finally stopped. That's the question that keeps me awake. The moral fence we all stand beside. I didn't leave Fence because I wanted to. I left him because systems don't bend for compassion unless someone insists hard enough, and I didn't insist enough. This story isn't just about a dog. It's about how easy it is to thank loyalty while quietly walking away from it. About how the ones who ask the least from us often give the most. We all stand beside fences in life, moments when something or someone depends on us more than a rule book ever will. The moral question is whether the fence is fair. It's whether we choose to open the gate anyway.